Hi, this is Lisa Ryder, and you're listening to the FSF Podcast.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the FSF Podcast. I'm Tim. I'm your host. Of course, Kathleen over here is my co-host. Today, our guest is an actor you've seen in movies and TV shows like Jason X, Forever Knight, Earth, Final Conflict, and of course, 109 episodes of Andromeda as Beka Valentine. We are very excited and happy to welcome Lisa Ryder to the FSF Podcast. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the things that we'd like to do, we'll just jump right into the questions here, because we've got a few things we want to get to, and we've got some great questions from an Andromeda fan group for you towards the end of the show. But one of the things we love to start off with is, because we're nerds, we fly that flag proudly, and even in many Funko Pops. But we love to know the origin stories, the background of our guests, kind of what makes them tick, what got them to be the person they are on the other side of the virtual table. So, in the story of Lisa Ryder, what influences helped guide you to a career in the arts?
You know, I grew up as a Mennonite girl in Edmonton, so you wouldn't think I'd get into the performing arts, but somehow my mother was a big. My parents were divorced when I was young, and my mom was a big believer in lessons, so got me
Okay.
into dance lessons, all kinds of lessons. I was in drama lessons and dance lessons and a lot of performing. I was always interested in performing. I was also, so I danced quite like competitively and stuff in high school, and also was a teen model in Edmonton. And at the time, I had this boyfriend who was a really talented choreographer. So he had a dance company that I was involved in. He would choreograph fashion shows at nightclubs, and the idea of performing was always was my way out of it was my way out of I guess Edmonton. It was a way to express myself, a way to connect with people. I just loved the performing, and I pursued modeling for a couple years as in Toronto and Germany and New York, and it was really not for me. It's just not for me. Anyway, so I enrolled in university, being completely lost and 19 years old, going, I don't know, I just need some stability. So I went into university, I got into the theater department, and that's where I learned more about theater, more about acting, got together with a bunch of people, we formed a company, got into writing and performing our own shows. And after that, it's like a hop, skip, and a jump to like get your agent and then go for TV, right?
Right.
That's how I got into.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, other than your mother being open-minded and being willing to help, kind of get you into all those lessons and get you the training that you needed. So I often wonder this about people who, they say that their parents had such a nice driving role into what they were doing. But I also wonder, on the opposite side of that, was there a particular actress or actor, a movie, something where where something clicked one day and you go, I could do that. That might be fun.
I have to say, no. I mean, I was a big fan of, being of the age that I'm a big fan of Footloose, Flashdance, all that. And that being dance related lit me up as a
Okay.
young person. But no, like I really didn't understand the being an actor in my early life until I got into theater. And then it was more like, I am only doing theater and I'm only doing German theater and I'm going to be a purist. And,
Sure.
so it was kind of, influences in Toronto theater were important to me in terms of, I guess, acting and performing. But it's only, as I grew up that I actually understood what acting, you know, that the craft of it and the interest in
Okay.
that.
All right. Fair enough.
So you mentioned when you were answering Tim's question, I have actually read it online as well, that not knowing that you were going to go into acting until you were at university in Toronto, that was when the acting bug sparked when it kicked you. So looking back at how you got to where you are, would you go back and give yourself advice now? Like, what would you say to your younger self at 19 in Toronto?
It's so interesting because I have an 18-year-old who's in university right now and completely not getting it, like not getting why am I here? And I'm like, that's kind of what your late teens, 20s is about, is exploring. So I don't think I would tell myself anything different. I think I could have taken a more direct route to where I'm going, but I don't think I would be. I would be a completely different person, right? I think it is just. I wouldn't change it. Uh, it is really
Fair.
important to get out there, explore, and all the influences that you are soaking up at that time kind of make you the actor you are and the person you are and
Hmm.
influence your interests, right?
Hmm. Yeah. I actually
Yeah, I
love that.
think.
I have a 5-year-old. My daughter's 5 and she just started ballet this year. And so looking at the I mean, I was in dance as a kid as well, and so I'm looking at the okay, so here's what my path was. Well, what's her path going to be? Like getting to see it firsthand. I'm like, I wonder I frequently do the, well, what would I go back and tell myself? Like what do I think she needs to hear that I would have wanted to hear at that
Like, how will I mold my child?
age? Right?
Like,
Right? Yeah.
yeah, you quickly, well, you if you haven't learned already, you can't. they just don't, they just you can even try, and it won't work. They are gonna figure it out themselves and pursue their own thing and
Yeah.
become the person that they are.
Yeah, I guess my biggest thing now is the fostering the person that she is without having it absolutely kill me. She is a very spirited, very, very opinionated little person. And it's the, I know she needs this fire. She's going to need this spunk. I just need to survive it first.
Because she's
Yeah,
not at all like her mother, not even a
I
little bit.
knew, but it'll be less hard on you later when she's got a mind of her own as a teenager and was like, no, that doesn't work for me, or that it's going to be good.
It is. It is. It's going to be
And
amazing.
good for you for recognizing that.
It's fun to see.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
fun to
having
see.
a hoot watching it from the sidelines. So
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's funny is there have been a couple of people in our life who have done the, well, you know that if you want her to be more submissive, this is the age that you have to start ingraining that into her head. And I'm like, yeah, no, she's,
Oh,
I'm
we
not
don't
gonna,
we don't
no,
really need submissive women. I don't think.
no, we
Why?
don't.
You
No, we
just
don't.
got to keep a sense of humor about it. I think.
Yeah, no, it
'Cause
was the, I'm like, yeah, my husband told me that one of his friends had done the, she's still young enough. You can change that attitude. And I'm like, no,
negatory, good buddy.
I don't think I could if I tried even with her.
why? Why do you want to take a perfectly good kid and then crush it? Just
No.
crush it.
It's a difference when you're talking about maybe negative or destructive habits versus personality traits that are just who she is and what she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have 3 children, and my youngest is my daughter, and she's also very spirited, and she's not at all like me, and that's a lie. Uh, she's my mini me, and it's interesting because the only things that I've ever tried to rein in with her are the personality traits of myself, where I was like, when I look back at her age and go, okay, well, this is some of the areas that led me to getting into a little bit of trouble. So let's just, and not even trying to clamp them down on her, right? Just trying to help her to see the path of where this can go. Because I wanted each of my children to be independent thinkers and be able to have that critical reasoning and ability to look ahead and see, okay, here's the issue. Here's how I move past it, without mom and dad standing there going, oh, no, no, you can't do that, because mom and dad aren't always going to be there. They're going to have to be critical thinkers on their own.
Hmm.
Difficult to, just let them play it out, isn't it?
Oh, it's
Uh,
tough.
I
It
have
is
a
so tough.
difficult time with that. I think I've done my share of helicoptering. But in terms of the spiritedness, I mean, I think it's the challenge is to like channel it. How do you channel it? How do you not warn and shock and discipline, but how do you like, that's great what you have. Where can it go? Like, is that,
Right.
does it go into martial arts? Does it go into clubs? Does it go into like, what is their passion so that you can
What's
help
their
them?
drive? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
use their force for good.
Exactly. Exactly. So, like I've used that exact sentence with my daughter when talking about stubbornness, because I'm like, I'm a very stubborn person, a little bit, kind of, and I just told her, I'm like, that could be a force for good or for evil. It depends on how you use it. If you're stubborn because you're trying to do the right things and you refuse to do the wrong things, then stubbornness is fantastic. But it
Yeah,
can also lead you down the primrose path if you're not careful, because you're stubborn and do the dumb things.
right,
So
right.
it's all in how you guide it, how you direct it. But they got to figure out some of that for themselves.
Yeah,
At least that's my
As
opinion
much
on
as we
things.
know that it's going to hurt.
Exactly. It's not always comfortable to watch, but you gotta let them stub their toes every now and then so they know where the boundaries are. You know,
yeah. That's a tough one.
it is.
It's a tough
All right.
one. Just
Well,
nothing like kid getting hurt, and it's just like I'll do anything to not
no,
have that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Especially when it's the I told you were going to get hurt.
I'm not above that. I told you so.
Oh
So
yeah, no,
that's
I've done that. I've done that plenty of times with my daughter with the I'm pretty sure I told you that wasn't a good idea. I know. Okay. As long as you
All
understand.
right, love. We're all on the same page. Let's move. We can move forward now. Well, let's segue from actual family to another type of family. So we've had an opportunity to speak with a few of your former Andromeda castmates.
Mhm.
We've spoken with Laura Bertram. We've had a chance to sit down with Gordon Wolvett and, of course, Lexa Doig. And they all talked about how they enjoyed the on-set family atmosphere with between the actors, and how you guys all got along, and how they had hopes that the storyline would be able to continue past the end of the fifth season. So, in your opinion, what needed to be done in order to keep Andromeda going past the fifth season?
Right, right. Here's what I would say, that we took the last season, cut, delete, and start before that time. I wasn't thrilled with how it was going. By the time we got to the planet of Sifra, um, I had a sense that I had a sense that there wasn't an overarching plan. I
Mm-hmm.
had a sense that it was a little bit like I was having a hard time keeping up with it. So in order to continue it, and I think that show had so much promise.
A lot of
When I
potential.
first auditioned for it and read the Bible that Robert had written, I was quite jazzed, and I think we all were. So many worlds and established planets, established orders, kind of arcs that were, going to unfold. Um, when Robert left, those ideas kind of were abandoned a little bit, and I would have loved to see how that world would have played out.
Okay.
Um, there were plenty of interesting, fun things that were explored, like after he left, but I really liked his cohesive vision, and I think it would have done well for the show.
Another thing that's been thrown out there in some fan groups and on some discussion boards is the possibility of, people always look back and they go, what show could be deserving of a reboot, of a fresh start? And a lot of people actually feel that Andromeda is one of those shows, that there's so much potential left on the table with this show, that there's opportunity for that to happen. Have you ever given that consideration of that? You thought that maybe that's a show that could somehow
I
be rebooted,
it's
brought back to
funny.
life?
After we finished the show, I was like, as with any long running show, you're just like, oh, you think I'm done. I'm done. And I felt like that for quite a while, but yeah, like because it's been so long now, I
Mm-hmm.
have thought, it's like, what would it be like to go back? Um, I think that is a fun idea, super fun idea. And like the other actors that you've talked to before, a lot of it, because it was a great time in my life, a great vibe on set. really good friends, good relationships. The crew was fantastic. So, you know, yeah, to revisit that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so. I'd like to see from my own personal uh, viewpoint. Now, I look at a lot of shows that were filmed in that era, because of where technology was at that point. What could
Yes.
be done on set
What
now
can be
with
done
technology?
now?
I mean,
I
there were so
know.
many things that Andromeda was trying to accomplish that I think that they got it to, like, it needed to be here, and it was like, just it was just so close, but they were at their limits of their technology. It was not because of anything that they were doing that was bad,
It
but I
was a
think that
time,
they're
and it still is a time of incredible growth in terms of
yeah,
that, in terms of
yeah.
special effects, and yeah,
I'd
yeah,
I'd
and
be
so it's
so
like we're getting
curious.
outdated, right? Like
Yeah.
we were, from the first to the fifth season, lots of changes and lots of
Hmm.
growth. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it's like watching, if you go back and watch, original Star Trek now. I mean, everything's, it seems kind of silly and campy, but then you watch like Strange New Worlds, and it's all modern tech and, CGI and graphics and all these different things. And I look at Andromeda in kind of the same vein. I'm like, it's still very good. It still holds up. It's a great show. But in the back of my mind, when I'm watching some of the scenes, I'm like, boy, I wonder what that would be like with modern capabilities, modern technology, CGI,
yeah,
proper, some things properly done. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. But
yeah. I mean, like you said, though, I don't know. I've gone back and watched a few, and I now, with so much time going by, I appreciate the camp of it. Like,
oh yeah, camp is great.
I think even in the first episode, or first season for sure, the bubble, the bubble helmets, the pig aliens, the wolf aliens. I mean, at the time, we were all going, uh, like, this isn't as edgy as I thought. But like, actually looking back on it now, I find it quite delightful.
Oh yeah, it's a great watch. It really is. It's and like you said, there's a little bit of camp to it, but then again, I love campy movies. Like, I'm a big fan of the movie Flash Gordon. From the late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
That's about as campy as can be, but it's still a fun watch. That, having some camp to something doesn't
Yeah.
take away from the enjoyment. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, at a certain point, I think it kind of adds enjoyment in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's highly part of the fun of Andromeda at this point for me, is when we go back and watch it, is that you have to keep in mind the era in which it was recorded and it was filmed. And you also go, yeah, it was such a good show and was so much fun then. It's still fun now, and then it allows your brain to kind of do the what ifs and the wonderings, and what could be done. I do the same thing with Flash Gordon when I watch it. I was like, oh man, if they were to reboot this and recast this, who would be great? And I'll think about all the great CGI and what they could do with this world and that, and yeah. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
with the Magog and Andromeda still be
Oh,
made out of yak fur
yes. Oh,
and
poor boy.
smelly.
In his yak fur suit, and that, yeah, they would have, yeah, in this day and age, they would have saved him a lot of sweat. And yeah, such a great actor, right? And it's just like, he started to kind of wither and melt every
That
episode.
poor
Of
guy.
here. Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go. And
that's a lot of fur.
nowadays it would be an IKEA rug, not a yak suit. And now, a word from our show sponsor, Level Up Sabers. Their link can be found in the show notes. So, like Tim mentioned, we've gotten to speak to some of your former co-stars, and looking at your previous work and at Lexa's previous work, you guys were both in Jason X, And in Jason X, you play the AI bot and Lex is the human. But then in Andromeda, you guys have a bit of a role swap where you're the human and Lex is the AI bot. Did you guys ever discuss the irony of those situations of you guys kind of
Yeah.
role swapping?
Yeah. And in fact, I think there were costume pieces that were consistent between one show and the other too. And we're like, this is crazy. Like I have the same boots as I, you know. Yeah, we thought that was kind of crazy. It was a crazy time. There was actually overlap between Jason X and Andromeda. And I think I went out to Vancouver to do Andromeda first before Alexa, or had a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Came back and reported to her, and I'm like, this is what it's like on set, and this is what you can expect. And then, you know, like I think we were going back and forth a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Was one of the roles easier for you to play? Was it easier to be the human or to be the AI? Or
Well, I just adored being an AI. Like it was so much fun for me. And like I say, this is a little bit my background of performer. I like dress up. I like those. I like those kind of choices, like those big kind of, like being an android. Honest to God, the dress up of it, the bad wig, the fake chest, the action of it, like all that action sequence. I just adored it. At the beginning was more fun than Beka, because at the beginning I didn't know what to make of Beka, and I was just trying to figure it out. Whereas with an AI, I go, oh, that's what it is. I get what's happening here. With Beka, there was a certain amount of just trying to figure it out, during the first season. But as I settled in, as I was given storylines for Beka, those were super. I always and again with the Flash, like I love the white contacts. I love being addicted to that drug. I liked the heightened state. That's kind of my jam. I love it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people miss how much in, like, especially the first season of a show, how not only watching it are we getting to know the characters, but the actors are getting to know the characters too. And there's usually such a change from the way that a character is portrayed in the first season to the way that they're portrayed in later seasons. And I think that's a lot of the times that shorter run TV shows actually get robbed of that character build. And when you see it in a longer run TV show, you're like, oh, that's the full character. That makes more sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you go back and watch the first season again. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, where'd the rest of them go?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun.
I mean, yeah, I agree. In that first season, I think we were all kind of, it's all written for you in the Bible and stuff. But like when you're fleshing things out, I was told, Beka's a hard ass and she's a pirate and she's Hanna Solo. And that wasn't always reflected in the scripts I was given. So there was a lot of conversations with Robert. It's like, what do you mean by, you know what I mean? And sometimes you realize, right, they're working with archetypes at the beginning. And then they flesh it out when they see what you're doing. You're altering what you're doing. Like it is collaborative.
Yeah.
In essence, at some point, I remember them saying, like, the intention was always for Dylan and Beka to have this tension. And I think, I don't know, halfway through the first, and they would do things like, take my clothes off and have me coming out of the shower and bumping into Dylan, like trying to stage this chemistry. And at some point, one of the executives was like, you guys, that's not going to happen. I'm like, yeah. And then it became just because of the chemistry that I naturally had with Keith Cobb. So like, hey, I see this happening on set. Like, so then they pursued that storyline. It's they're watching what we're doing. We're trying to, we're paying attention to the clues that they're giving us, but it's not a play. It's not written in stone. And then you mine the clues and then it's there for you. It is ongoing and it is a conversation.
I love that.
Well, it's cool too. It's neat. So two things about that. Number one, I love the fact that you called Beka Hanna Solo, and that actually makes a whole lot of sense in my brain. It really actually does. Not to mention, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and Han Solo is my favorite character of all time. So as soon as you said that, it was like light bulb went off. I was like, oh,
Wait a minute.
I get that reference. That totally makes sense. Okay, we can go with this. But the other thing I like about what you just said is I like the fact that the writers for the show were paying enough attention that they did not force something, because as you know, as an audience member, we can tell when something's getting pigeonholed in, and there's, well, that character relationship really doesn't work, but here we go, we're doing it anyway.
Robin and Ted
So
Mosby.
What did you
yes,
say?
Robin and Ted in How I Met Your Mother.
yes,
Oh.
that's a very that's a
I mean,
speaking of a pigeonhole.
that was the beauty of Robert Hewitt Wolf being in Vancouver on the set, always, like he was there. Yeah, it was, and I guess that's the thing about a showrunner, right? It's just like, it's really hands on. It is, they're in there paying attention
Right.
to what's working and what's not working, and of course he's getting it from all ends. He's getting it from producers. We want it more this way, and the actors are like, what does this mean? Like that showrunner is the person who has to, pay attention to everything and make that all work in their vision of the show. So
Yeah, very cool. All right, Lisa, so we've got some questions for you. Not that we don't have already had questions for you, but we're part of an Andromeda fan group, and a lot of the people in that group are excited to know that we were talking with you today. And so we gave them a chance to ask you some questions. We're like, hey, you want to ask Lisa some questions? They're like, heck yeah, we do. And they sent them on in. So we've got a handful of questions here that we selected for you from those fine folks. So here goes. And the first name I'm going to totally obliterate. And Linda, I just want you to know I am so very sorry, but I'm going to give this the old college try. Linda Higa-Yashiami. And I am so sorry. Higa-Yashiami. Let's go with that. You can correct me later. I'm available through Facebook. You can tell me how bad I did. So, with last name like Bicycle, Linda, I understand slaughtering of names. Trust me. So, Linda wants to know, was there a story arc that you would have liked to have had for your character, Beka Valentine, but it didn't make it into the show?
yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, lots of them. I liked pursuing the Flash angle. I always wanted to pursue. This is such an actor thing to say, but I always wanted to pursue Becca's backstory.
Okay.
Whenever I got a backstory show, I was like, yay, more me, more things to do, and more fuel for my going forward journey. There's one little story that was kind of touched on when trance became new trance. There was Becca showed up from the alternative reality, and who had red hair, and she was a bit of a cyborg at that point, and that was like I think 10 seconds on screen, and I really would have loved to pursue that alternate reality line. Anything like that, I love. I would love.
That would be fun.
Okay. Very good.
More of the alternate reality, that would be.
I love alternate realities. I would have liked to spend more time in that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Yeah.
So Thomas Bivens asked, what was your first thought when you entered the Maru set? Was there anything that you wanted to add to it?
I was totally, I loved the Maru set much more than the Andromeda set, because just the way the both sets are, when you walked into the Maru set, you were walking into an actual ship. Like it had sides, a back, a front, like it was just very immersive, right? Whereas the Andromeda set was, it's like the nose was all, it was like a stage more. So just for the actors, it just felt like I was really in a ship, and I loved it. I loved that it was rusted and clunky, and I loved the bunk beds. What do I don't want to add to it? I mean, it was pretty great. They had a kitchen. We had, yeah. No, I loved that set a lot.
That's cool. I never would have thought about the difference between the way the sets were set up like that. That's cool. That the
Yeah. It's well because the Andromeda was so large, right? Like this whole like the whole front part was missing. That was just the studio. And then we were mostly like it was kind of like a proscenium almost, like a stage. Whereas the Maru, yes, you'd get the whole crew in the Maru with you, like in their corner with the, the camera, it's all crowded and it was sometimes they take the nose cone off and then, you know.
All right, let's see. Chris Pate asks, what was it like meeting John Delancey? Did he have any Star Trek behind the scenes stories for you guys?
I do not remember any I guess I was a fan and I was a little intimidated by him because I was a fan
Mm-hmm.
of him and I didn't want to be like this raving, can you tell me, I, I felt a bit, I don't know. I really loved his work. I loved working with him. I don't think I asked for stories, and I don't think he held forth with stories either. He was, working on scenes with me, and so I don't. I'm sorry to say, it's probably a disappointing answer, but I don't think I got stories. But working with him
That's
was a
fair.
joy. He is so good and such a pro, and great Uncle Sid.
That's fair. I think these guys understand that this, we're trying to tap into memories from, a couple years
From
back.
the
So
deep recesses of my, yeah.
as
honestly,
I always tell people, I'm like, I don't remember what I had lunch for yesterday. I've slept since then. So, we're asking you to go back years. So
Yeah.
I feel like I would be in the same boat though with John Delancey. That I would just be like, I would be such
hi.
right.
I,
I don't know how to word anymore.
You want to come do a scene with me?
and plus I had to be um kind of strong enough to stand up to him, challenge him, rebel against
Mm-hmm.
him, and
Mhm.
I frankly was like, yeah, intimidated. So I was
That's
trying to
fair.
keep up a cool front, I think.
Get that.
I think that's a fair response, especially when you're talking about being a fan of somebody's. We've had people on the show who I'm a big fan of, and it takes everything just to like, I'm okay. I can do this. I
I'm
will
gonna be a
be
professional.
professional.
I am
No, I won't.
I am person ask questions you. Like
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we have the opportunity coming up to talk to Jonathan Frakes, and that's going to be me. I'm going to be like,
oh
nope,
yeah. Yeah.
She's gonna be a
Nope.
blubbery mess, and I can't wait.
totally forgotten everything.
Over to Tim, because yeah.
I'm just going to be sitting here like, oh boy.
I giggle. He asks. Go do thing.
Yep. Man.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So Jennifer Marie Reynolds also wanted to ask, what outfit was your favorite to wear?
Well, I did like my leather jumpsuit, especially when they distressed it. We had, oh, for heaven's sake, this is my memory. Our costume designer, Tony, took all my wardrobe from the first season and just tore it up, had added mesh, distressed it. And so that black jumpsuit, which was pretty cool, it was made for me. I was comfortable in it. It was pleather. It was a weight loss strategy. I can't believe like how much pleather. Anyway, I think she cut off the sleeves. She made it a little bit less black, a little bit more grunge. I liked that one with belts, quite butch. I liked it a lot.
All right.
You did have some pretty
Very
cool
cool.
costumes.
I really,
I'm
yeah.
I'm looking at the Google pictures and I'm like, oh man, I forgot how cool some of your outfits were.
I know, really cool.
Badass Hanna Solo.
Pants.
Mhm.
Pants with pockets and low slung and yeah, she was a crazy creative mind, Tony. She had great ideas.
All right. One last question from the group, and this comes from Danny Rimmer. Danny wants to know, why is she so awesome?
Let's see. Why is she so awesome? Is Beka awesome? Or is
I
Lisa?
think he means I think he means Lisa, but we can go with both.
Well, that's very sweet. Very sweet to hear. I don't know. I don't know. It's an impossible question to answer.
She just is.
She just is.
Oh.
But why is Becca so awesome? I mean, Becca. What I thought Becca was awesome because Becca was like um, a rebel, like an orphaned rebel from a tough circumstance and a survivor. And I dug that about her. A little bit of a criminal, a little bit of a heart of gold. I thought she was awesome.
Hanna Solo. I will never pronounce her as Hanna Solo anymore. My brain literally went. Susie said that.
So Lisa, we like to end our show with a silly question because some of our other questions are obviously so serious that we feel that we need to just throw an extra silly one out there at the end. And this was actually a question I had come up with a while ago, again because I have a 5-year-old, and it's one of those things that as an adult nobody asks you, nobody seems to care anymore, and I think that that's awful. So Lisa, what is your favorite dinosaur?
I have to go for like T-Rex. I mean, because of cuteness, because of like the little because of
Little
this,
arms.
just because of this.
They're little, yeah, they're little.
Probably a
arms.
pedestrian answer. You probably wish I would have said something obscure, but really, this is so cute. So cute.
It is. It is, and it's so funny. Is I've always been a fan of the T-Rex as well, and then especially like watching Jurassic Park, and they seem so scary in Jurassic Park. And then as they've done more research on dinosaurs and realizing the more and more that they're built like birds,
Yeah.
that it's more likely that a T-Rex wasn't roaring at you but honking at you like a goose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the little arms and the goose honk. Just
And that's cute as well.
Tim's
I
like,
mean,
oh boy.
but speaking of that, like, aren't the velociraptors completely not what they're portrayed to be as
No,
well? Aren't
not.
they?
Yeah,
Like,
Velociraptors are like turkey sized.
yeah, they're about the size,
Yeah.
a third of the size of the mind of the that we see them.
Yeah.
So
The ones that they portray, they're more like the Deinonychus is the way that they're shown, but Deinonychus is not as much fun to say as Velociraptor.
We'll have to look that up later.
I only know that one because Deinonychus is my husband's favorite. And they're the ones that are the bigger raptor size. But also a friend of the show's has a beautiful rant about velociraptors and the fact that they get too much credit for being turkey sized, and then they get basketball teams named after them, and it's like, yep.
That's right.
Yep. But again, I mean, was it Ben Franklin that wanted the U.S. bird to be the turkey? So I guess it only makes sense. Yeah.
The noble turkey. The noble,
the noble turkey that will literally drown in the rain.
I know.
The noble, delicious turkey.
I have a friend who periodically will send me. She's so crazy. She's from the country and she's obsessed with wild turkeys. So every time, and I think she's ridiculous because she will always videotape her hunting for the wild turkeys. So now she hunts for wild turkeys, not hunts them, but she's always in pursuit of them. She'll videotape wild turkeys in the wild and send them to me for my benefit because I think she is completely. It's mostly just my friend, just the sound of crunch, crunch, crunch. I think in the distance, if you can just peer through the tree, that's a lot of that, and very few wild turkey actual sightings.
Love that so much.
It's ridiculous.
I love that.
I'll let her try a Steve Irwin voice and see if it comes out any better. Turkey, there's a turkey over there.
See, my only real complaint about wild turkeys is how dumb they are. Like, they're so they are the epitome of bird brain. Like, I was driving home from my mom's house, and my mom just jokingly had done the watch out for turkeys, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. 20 minutes from my mom's house, I hit a freaking turkey because it was walking around along the side of the road. I moved over to give it space. That apparently startled it more, and it flew into my van.
Yeah. Well, that's on him.
It was. It was.
That's not on you, Kathleen.
So then I called
That's
my
actually on
mom
the
with
van.
the, seriously? Seriously? You had to say,
Told you to look out for turkeys. I mean, that's on them for not evolving properly. So
right? when the bird, like I said, when the bird is so dumb that they will literally drown in the rain.
Yeah.
They're special creatures.
You know what you could do, Lisa, is you could repay her by taking a bottle of wild turkey and putting that out in the woods, and then you could be like, "I'm hunting wild turkey," and then have it show up, and then you could be like, "But there's an alternate style of turkey. This one's the wilder turkey." And could it be like a wild turkey American honey? And then have that one, the honey flavored one, and you'd be like,
right.
I'm finding all the turkeys today. The thought.
Be very, very quiet. I'm drinking wild turkey.
I'm drinking wild turkey.
I'm drinking
Exactly.
Oh, boy. Oh, goodness. Oh, Lisa, we have enjoyed our conversation so much with you today. Where can our viewers and our listeners go to find out more about you and your work?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm out there. The most recent thing I've done is a TV show called From, which is available on Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus, yeah. I do not have a website, but I'm on IMDb and I'm around.
Awesome. Well, I will tell them what we have told them in the past. When in doubt, Google her.
Google is free.
Yeah, there's some frightfully old stuff in there, but tell them to check out From. It is it's a really great show. It's filming now. I'm only in a few episodes, but pretty cool.
It is on my watch list on Paramount.
Pardon me?
It's on my watch list on Paramount currently.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Recommends.
Well, we will definitely. We're just gonna usually we'll link your website or your socials. We're just gonna put in there. Google is free.
And we'll put in a link for
the
show.
I have to say, the Instagram, I am on Instagram, but I don't trust Instagram anymore. I have had so many people try to friend me who have no posts. They don't follow anyone. No one follows them. And suddenly they want. So I'm becoming very suspicious. I'm getting
That's happening all the time right now on Instagram.
Right?
It's not just for you.
Say, on Facebook, the number of men who are befriending me now who are widows, I'm like from Turkey, or speaking of Turkey, from Turkey or the Middle East. I'm just like, that's a weird coincidence, right?
Yeah.
That's...
It's going across the board for men and women both. I've been talking with some friends who are on Twitter or whatever you decide to call it these days, but they're having the same problem, but they're men and they're getting followed and friended by these 18 to 20 something year old girls, but it's not because they want to be friends. It's it's other reasons, and it's all very odd.
Bots, or it's just less and less of a fun forum now.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Social media is becoming less social and more scammy. So
that's true.
It's getting weird. It's getting weird.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Hey, we want to remind you that subscribing is the single most important thing that you can do to help our show to continue to grow and get awesome guests like Lisa Ryder right there to come on our show, have some fun, and then share some laughs with us. So please subscribe. It does more than we can ever really describe. And be sure to check out Lisa's work as well. We'll have a link down below to a Google search that you can use for her. If you are unable to type out Lisa Ryder, there'll be one there for you. But you guys can check her out on the Googs and go check out her new show on Paramount Plus called From. You guys will enjoy that very well. But also you can go out and watch Andromeda out on different streaming services and enjoy that as well. So go check that out. Andromeda's still a lot of fun to watch. And so have fun, be safe, and make sure to click that subscribe button. And on that note, goodbye.
Bye. Lovely to meet you.
Copyright 2024 FSF Podcast. Reference any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com.